All right, good morning once again. So we've been on the how to develop particularly responsive website, Bootstrap, right? We define Bootstrap as JavaScript CSS framework. That is, it is a library where JavaScript and CSS code has been written for you to apply to your website in order to create a responsive website. So what the last our last class we talked about Bootstrap, right? Bootstrap, and I told us the necessity or the importance of us starting the journey by knowing Bootstrap what grid system. You know, at least we all now know that we now understand the logic behind Bootstrap calculating devices what making points, right? So that was take away let's say take away skill from that class. At least you now know in case you are asked anytime, how does Bootstrap actually know or calculate different devices resolution? How does it know at which points it should break into a particular device display? That is what Bootstrap system are set to. So if you are in that class, perhaps you have gone through the video, but I understand that some of you are not paying for the video, you are just following because you have subscribed. Now, can anybody tell us at least two different words, devices, breakpoints? Or just tell us different devices, sizes, or resolution. Any idea? We have what? Extra large, right? We have the extra, we have large, which is represented with LG, right? We have XL, the XSLG, which is what? Extra large. We have SL, right? SL is for what? Small what? Just small. Okay, but we have a S what again? We have a XN. XS, right? Small. Now, if I may also ask for what are the components that form Bootstrap, columns and what? Which are represented as what? div, right? No, we're defining the column, which we said the column is the vertical what? The vertical spaces, right? While the vertical containers, while the rows are the horizontal what? Containers. So the combination of column and row where structure is what forms Bootstrap what? Grid system, right? Now that we understand that, we are going to take us through some basic Bootstrap element classes. Let's write that. Some basic Bootstrap element classes. So I intended to teach us NAPA, but I discovered that. Let me take some of the basic element classes first. Basic what? Bootstrap element classes. Basic Bootstrap element classes. classes. So what do we mean by Bootstrap elements? The word element there represents what? The HTML, right? The HTML structure. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is our image. We are going to look at some of the Bootstrap classes which are used in styling or making our images responsive. I believe you still remember that the whole essence of Bootstrap is for creating what? Responsive what? Websites, right? Websites that should be able to adapt type or different sites. So I'm going to start by adding an image tag. We are not working, I'm not visiting. The only thing we need, the only thing you need for those that are watching the video, there is a class where we have learned how to set up what? The Bootstrap in our projects. That is why you are seeing this particular link. So we've done that, and you are also seeing what? CSS. So for you to verify all that we are going to learn in this section, you have to visit Bootstrap what? Documentation website and add the JavaScript what? And also CSS what? Link, so that you will be able to what? To access pre-design classes. So I'm not going to take us to documentation. I'm doing everything manually today. Now let's assume we add an image tag, right? This image, let me call an image here. I think that you have some images. Let's look at the appearance of this image. So if I go to the front end, let me right click and view the front end. I just want to show us how this image will display without these particular classes we want to look at. So when we start adding the classes, we can now see the impact they will be making. So what we are trying to learn here, anytime you are building a Bootstrap based website and you use an image or you add an image, there are certain classes you will just pass into that image, and then Bootstrap will take care of what? To display that CSS and, if possible, some of the interaction with JavaScript. Now look at how the image displays by default. You can see the image appear very big, right? Now let's start adding some Bootstrap classes, because right now there is no Bootstrap classes or class. And what is Bootstrap class? I don't know if I've defined that before. Bootstrap class or classes are attributes used to access Bootstrap CSS or JavaScript. They are attributes used to access Bootstrap CSS or JavaScript. You know, unlike the manual development where we were declaring our CSS by ourselves. Hope you remember, we have to, class the elements. We will now go to our CSS file, start calling it by its class name, and then start declaring color and all of that. But what we are saying is that this time around, we don't want to do that. So we have custom one, but we want to leverage on what the CSS Bootstrap has already put in place. The JavaScript Bootstrap has already put in place. So all we just want to do is to tap into them and use them to determine how our elements will be displayed. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add what? Class. So the first class we are looking at is what? So you write Bootstrap image responsive class. I'm going to be classifying the Bootstrap image responsive class. So which of the class takes care of the responsiveness of that image? What do we mean by responsiveness? Look up. If I right click on this page now, or let me try to reduce the page, you can see that the image is not responsive. Some part of it is being cut off as I'm reducing the screen. Are you noticing that? So we want in a situation whereby as I'm reducing, look at the view of the image. This particular part now, no matter how I'm reducing, I don't want it to be trimmed up. So once you notice that part of that element is being trimmed off, it means that what? It's not what? Contrasting. It's not responsive. So if you want to focus on which of the Bootstrap class makes this particular image responsive, not talking about the size now, just to make it what? Fits into what? Different devices. Which of the class? So the class we need is what? Image, that is img hyphen fluid hyphen what? Fluid. So this particular class is to take care of the responsiveness of the image. Make sure you are documenting your notes. I said Bootstrap what? Image what? Responsive class is what? Image what? img hyphen what? Fluid. Now let's go back to the page again. What did you notice now? Did you see that even that first time it was not even responsive because we are not seeing audit? Now let's go there. Now let's go. Now is it responsive? You can see that what? No part of the image is cut off. So those of us that are converting our old website to Bootstrap, all you need is just to go to wherever you use images, you add what? This class. That is all. That means you have automatically, yes, that is all. You automatically make all those images what? Mobile what? Responsive. Are we communicating? So that is the word. Now, I just want us to look at the explanation of it. So you can just bring it out. Let's just describe it. img hyphen fluid. img hyphen fluid determine the maximum width to be 100% and the height auto. That is the meaning of that particular class. That is what you will have gone to your manual CSS. You know, when we were doing manual CSS, we have to say maximum width, right? We say 100%. Then height auto. So instead of you typing that manually, once you add this particular class, you have taken care of what? The maximum width to be what? 100% and the height auto. That is what you are communicating by just adding what? img what? Hyphen fluid. Any question? The maximum width of the image to be 100% and the height to be auto. And the height to be auto. Let's be fast because I really want to cover a lot of them. The rest I will ask you to go and research. Exactly. Note, this ensures that the image scales down. This ensures that the image scales down if the parent container is smaller. If the parent container is smaller. If the parent container is what? Smaller. But does not grow beyond its original size. But does not grow beyond its original what? Size. Are we there? So let me qualify that. What is actually happening here? Look at it here. What is the parent container of this image? The body tag, right? Because you nested this image tag in what? Your body. So which means that no matter how you reduce this page, that image cannot grow beyond its parents. That is what is happening. So that is the meaning of what? Maximum width 100% and what? Height auto. Height auto means what? The browser should calculate it by itself. It should adjust automatically. Hello? Somebody following? So which means that if I'm not using Bootstrap, do you know what I will have done to achieve that? So I will class this element, then go to my CSS. I will now say what? Maximum width 100%. Maximum height auto. That is what I will have gone to my CSS manually to type before I can achieve what this does. So in other words, Bootstrap have already written those CSS code for you, waiting for you to align with the same class name. Exactly. Okay, so let's look at what? Another class. So this one is what type of class? This is Bootstrap what? Image what? Responsive what? Class. Exactly. So let's quickly look at what? Bootstrap image rounded corner.
class. Bootstrap image rounded corner. Bootstrap image what? Rounded what? Corner. BS image rounded corner. What do we mean by rounded corner? That is what you normally achieve with what? Border radius. Are you with me? Border radius, you now say 10%. Then when you now want the complete cycle, you now say, well, border radius 50 what? Percent, right? But we're going to see how we achieve that strictly with what? Bootstrap. So we have added it. Now you can add multiple class. Look at this. You don't necessarily need to what? To remove this one before you bring another class. And it's not compulsory that you create, it's not even allowed for you to say, to declare what? Two classes attributes in the same element. So all the classes you want to communicate should be communicated inside what? The class attribute. Which means that what? If I'm bringing down, I will just space and call the next class. All of that will be inside. Does anybody follow it? So what I will do, I will just say what? Rounded. I will just make sure there is space. So if I go back to the page now, let's check what we have. It will give you a very small round edge. But we are not seeing it until we reduce the width. Because the width is what? 100%, right? Good. So we are still coming to what? Bootstrap what? Width. How do I control width in Bootstrap? So but before then, I will just space and type what? W-what? 25. That is what? 25% width. That is the meaning of it. If I go back now, you can see that what? It starts reduced to what? So if I want to do 50%, I will just say what? W-what? I'm still going to get there just because I wanted to see the rounded corner. So you can see the what? The corner is slightly what? Curved. Just like when you say 10% border radius. Is anybody following? You can see it now. Look at it. It's slightly what? Curved. It's not sharp. Now, so that is for what? Rounded corner. Sorry, rounded. Now, if I want it to be completely what? Cycle. Let's write notes on that one first. So take this class. What is this class doing? Rounded. Let's look at the notes. Right, rounded. Bootstrap provides classes to make images rounded. Bootstrap provides classes to make images rounded. That is to generate curved edges. That is to generate curved edges. That is to generate what? Curved edges. So what are the classes? The first one is what? Rounded, right? Then notes. For slants, curving or curve, use rounded. For slants, curve, use rounded. But to make the image perfect cycle, use rounded cycle. Use rounded what? Cycle. Are you with me? So once you add cycle, let's go back. What do you see? The image is now what? Perfect what? Cycle. You know, that is what we normally achieve with what? Border radius what? 50%. Why the other one is when you say border radius, maybe 10% or 10 years. Just because you just want the corner to curve slant. Am I communicating? Okay. So now we have taken note of what? Bootstrap what? So how many classes have we learned now when it comes to styling your images with Bootstrap? The first one is what? Image what? Fluid, which is responsible for what? The responsiveness of that image, right? While the second one is what? Rounded, just for slant what? Curving, and rounded what? Cycle, for making it what? Cycle. Now let's look at what? The next one. The next one is what? Bootstrap thumbnail images. Thumbnail images. That's the next one. Bootstrap thumbnail images. So let me take off this. Thumbnail. Top T H-U-M-P, name, N-A-L. Okay, let me write it here. B-S what? Tom, A, image. Let's know what that is. Right. The Bootstrap thumbnail add a border and padding. Add a border and padding around the images like thumbnail. The Bootstrap thumbnail add a border and padding around the image like a thumbnail. Like a thumbnail. Add a border and padding around the image like a thumbnail. So what is the class name? The class name is this. You just simply write ing hyphen thumbnail. Thumbnail. So if I go back to the page, what do you notice? Can you see a kind of border here? I don't know if you are seeing it. There's a kind of border here. Very small border. You can try it on your own so that you can see it. You may not be seeing the screen very well, but there's a border. There is a border that make it to stand out like a shadow, as if the image is in a container. You are supposed to be confirming this, so if you are fast. Once you have added the image tag, it's not just inserting the class name, then you will see the appearance alongside with me. So please let's add this object, the image, so that we can be all right. So now that is for today, and I believe you can also see that they have it like order that way. Now, if you give this page now, black background color, you will not see that order. Let's do that. Let's give the page the inline, right? Style the bottom. Let's say style background color. Background color. Let's leave it black. I just want us to see that particular border. I think black is not even bringing it, but let me see if I can use something like this, not completely white. Okay, so at least with this, I'm able to see the effects. Right now, let's move on. Let's look at the next class. We are still on image. Let's look at what? Object, fit, and position of an image. Bootstrap objects, Bootstrap image objects. Yes. Or we can say Bootstrap object, but not be anything that has to do with container. Object is. So right, Bootstrap 5, particularly Bootstrap 5.0, support object fits. So there's a version you will install now. You may not have this. Bootstrap 5 support object fits and object position for controlling how images fill their container. For controlling how images fill their container. For controlling how images fill their what? Containers. So what is the class name? The class name is type object hyphen fit. Object hyphen fit hyphen contain So we have hyphen. Now you write the other one. We have object hyphen fit. This value can be changing. Have contain, we have field. This they can change to what? Field. So write it again. And then when you get here, you write field. These are like different options. So if I go back to the page and see, so this is about what? When you place image in different container, that is what? To fit. To fit. That is what we are talking about. To fit. So, like I said, we can use in the place of, you can change here to field. These are different options. You can change here to field. So it can be field, it can be what? Contain. Can be field. That is how the image will be controlled in a container where you have it in a different container. For now, the image is directly in what? For the container. So now let's combine it with what? Let's combine, right? Combining the object fit with width, so that we can see the control very well with width. So I can say W hyphen 100. That is what %. W hyphen 100 is what? I want it to fit to what? So I need to remove this. W hyphen 100 is what percentage? 100%. So if I go back to the front end, what do you have? The image has fitted. What did you notice? Look at this. There is no single space under. It fits to the container that is what is in. That is what we are saying. So we can also add what? Height. We can also say, okay, we want to fit to the height as well. So what do we do? To fit to the height, we will now write what? Another class, H hyphen what? H hyphen what? 100. So that is what? H hyphen 100. That is what? Height 100 what? %. Are you following? So you can see it. So the image is fitting. So no part of the image is cutting off. So no matter how you reduce it now, let's go and check different views. Let's expect it so that we can toggle around what? Right? Now, if it is on what? iPhone SE. This is how everything is fitting. Let's try it across all devices. Come on, let's say on iPad Pro. Look at it, let's do it fitting. Now on let's say on Samsung what? Galaxy what? S20 Ultra. Any device you put it to fit. So what? So the all right. Any question? So I want to reduce this to 50% because of the next command. We need to have some space. And then I want to remove this 50%. I don't want to cover the entire space. Are we communicating? So the next one is what? Bootstrap image alignment classes, right? Bootstrap image alignment classes. I will have said people should go and research, but I know that some of us will not cope. That's why I have to take this upon myself like this. So Bootstrap image or image equals alignment classes. Alignment classes. What is alignment? Alignment simply means floating the image from the left to the center and to the what? Right. You know, in our manual design, how do we achieve that? We say what? Float what? Left. Float right. Isn't it? And if we are using CSS, we can also what? If we want to float an image to the center, we put it in what? In a block element and say what? Margin auto, right? Now, in Bootstrap, how do you position this image? What is the correct alignment of this image? What is the correct alignment of this image? Left, right? Left. Now, what is the Bootstrap class to place it at the center of the page? What is the Bootstrap class to push it to the what? To the right hand side. That is what we are talking about. So I will also add the class. Add the class. So the first one is for left alignment. You write the class name is for left alignment. The class name is float hyphen start. That is what you need. So once you add this class name, float hyphen start, that is what? Left alignment, which is where it has already positioned by what? Default, right? So that's the class name. Now, what is the class name to float it to the right hand side? So it will now be what? Float hyphen end. Hope you are writing them. Float for what? That is for what? Right alignment. The class name is what? Float hyphen what? End. Now let's go and check. Where is the picture now? To the what? Right hand side. Now, if I want to position it to the center, what will be the class name? The class name will now be what? It says center. It's not center. This is Bootstrap. It's man ms hyphen auto. Then you will now add this subordinate one, which was D block. You add what? D block. You add this. Now, if I go to the, are you see it now? Add the one, the center. So these are the things you need to know, this class name. So you don't even need to go there and be collecting the way I told the other time. Once you know this class name, just be building manually and be what? Substituting the what? The class name. Once you have set up your Bootstrap what? CSS, CDN what? Links. So can we try it now? We are also trying it. Okay, let's confirm this one that we just did. Look up. Pay attention here. You know, before I started talking about this alignment, I referenced the way we used to do it manually. That manually, for us to float image to the center of the page, we will first of all wrap the image tag in a block element like p tag, so that the image will now be converted from what? Inline element to what? Block element. So what you did here in Bootstrap now, this D block is doing what? This D block is to convert the image inline element to what? Block element. I need to make this image ordinarily that's supposed to behave like an inline element to behave like what? A block element. Write it down. So the D block you added is to convert image inline element to what? Block element. So if I remove it now and I go back there, did you see that the image did not go to the center again? I just remove one. Look up. I just remove the D block and I try it again. It could not maintain what? That center. So take note of that. Once you add it, Ctrl Z. Once you add it and you go back, because the inline element must be first of all converted to what? Block element before you can say what? Margin auto that we used to use in our manual section. So yeah, let everybody confirm that before we proceed. So let's take a look at Bootstrap more image classes. Now let's assume that you want to wrap an image and text in a container. How do we achieve that? Let's look at Bootstrap figures. Bootstrap figures. Bootstrap figures. For capture and structure images. This is used for capture and structure images. That is wrapping an image and write-up in a container.
That is wrapping an image and write-up in a container. So let's look at the code structure. So we'll start by writing what? The figure tag. So there is a tag called what? Figure. So you open up that tag. So this tag is going to serve as what? The container. That will be holding both the image and what? The text. So I will nest my image. So I want to give it class. So the Bootstrap class for this figure is what? Figure. Now, inside it, you create your image. So let's say this particular image that we have created, let me add it to avoid the add it inside the now the class to the I think let's do it this way so that it's not confuse us. Let's take a image tag. So you create your image tag inside it. The class of that image, let me call the image first. Let me call a different image. The class of that image should be, make sure you are taking note of that, should be figure hyphen image. That is a class, the responsive class. And then I still want to inside the same class add im right? I still want to make the corner rounded. Let me check what I have here. Okay. Now I need to reduce the width. Let's say W I what 50%. Check. Yes, we have reduced it. I want to put the image to the center. What would I do? Let me know whether you see those things. I'll say what MN what I what right? And then make it what element. So, right? So the image is now at the center. So now we need to create another tag that will contain the tests because we are wrapping both tests and the image in one container. So we create a tag called figure capture. So these are some tags you are getting to know now. Figure what? Capture. So this is what we use to write that text. You want the text to come immediately after the image, you write it under. You want the text to come before the image, you write this word before the word, the image. Now, what is the Bootstrap class name for this particular one? So you add class, Bootstrap class name for this one, figure hyphen class, sorry, hyphen capture, figure hyphen capture. That is the Bootstrap class name. Now, the write-up will come in here. The write-up will come in here. So I will say welcome to this of online. If I go back now, what do you see? See that what? You have the test. But the only thing is that this particular one, we need to also move it to the center. Right? We need to move this to the center. Move to the center, who can suggest what we do? You can use custom CSS. Custom CSS means that what? You bring in what? Your style, right? And then you say what? Align what? No. Text what? Align. Say what? Center. Let's go there. So this is the benefit of your manual CSS that you know. There are minor things that you can just what? Adjust using custom CSS to fit. So what is happening here is that this can be a product, right? A product, and then you want to say something about it. Like I said, if I want this particular write-up to come before the image, what will I do? I will cut it from here and bring it before what? The image, because there are instances where we want to have that text before what? The image. So let's quickly verify that before I proceed. All right, now let's look at Bootstrap width and height classes, right? Bootstrap image width or container width and height. It's not just image. If you create a div, you can use the same W word 100 to width it so display 100%. Bootstrap what? Image slash good and what? Container what? Width and height. Width and height classes. Width and height classes. Using percentage. So the calculation is based on percentage, not pixel. Right, Bootstrap provide classes like W-25, which is equal to what? 25 what? So you write it this way. Number 2, W-50. W-50, which is equals to what? 50 cents. Then we have W-75. That should be equal to what? 75 cents. And then we have before we have W-100, which is equals to 100 cents. And then of course we have custom. So we'll come to custom. Custom is where you use your inline styling. These are preset standard widths. For example, let's look at the width of this image. I think this should be 50%, right? This is where we are controlling. Class that is controlling that is here. So if I change here to 5, that is 25%. So that's what that's used. Then if I also change here to 75, then I check that what is what 75 what percent. Then of course, if I change it to 100, that is 100 what percent. So just like the way you have it now, you also have it for what? Height, right? Let's look at for height. For height, all you need to do is to replace what? The W with what? H. That is all. So which means that I'll change here to what? H, and change here to H, change here to H, change here to H. If I also want to add that, then I'll come where I have that one. Means that I will retain this one, because the object needs to have and what height. I will just say what age I be. Let's say 5. That will determine the height. Let me change. Let's say 7, 5. If I go back and see that what this is the height. You're 25. We are not putting percent. We are not adding the percent icon. Yep. Oh, here, right? Yes. 25%. Then we have, let's look at Bootstrap image auto width. Bootstrap image auto width. What is the Bootstrap class? You want it to be calculated automatically. What is the Bootstrap class for that? Bootstrap what? Auto what image. So to just be, let me make that one as number 5. Just be W to just be W hyphen what? Auto. That is all. So which means that if I want it to be auto, all I need to go to where I initially, let's say the width what? W hyphen what? Auto. Then I can say the height also should also be what? H what? W what? Also. If I go there now, see that what? The browser will be what? Calculate it by itself. By itself. Any question? So the next one is so of course the custom, I don't need to, in case any of this, look up, we have Bootstrap custom with page custom with, which means that in a situation whereby none of this, maybe you want to use 20, but there's no 20 here, you want to use 50. What you do is that you use your what? Your inline, right? Once you have activated your style, now pass it in the style. Then what I will do here is I will just come here and say maybe with 20 what? 20%. I go back there. So I need to remove, which one we need to remove now? That the image I've been working on. But that is not it, right? The first one. Let me add it here. Let me add style here. Let's say what? 20. But I need to disable this very one that is calculating auto. This auto. This is what 20 what cents. You have the privilege of doing it what manually, here it does not give you what you want to use 200, which is not part of what Bootstrap has already defined. So that is all about that. So I have played around image now. I want to shift to another tag, right? Bootstrap what anchor tag classes. In case you are using anchor tag, what are the classes used to fine-tune the appearance? Bootstrap what anchor tag. Bootstrap anchor tag. Let me use the invitation. Anchor tag classes. So anytime you are using a link, how do you communicate your Bootstrap? Let's say I call what anchor tag like this and say this should reference for now any destination. So let's say what click me. right? So right, Bootstrap does not require classes for simple links. Bootstrap does not require classes for simple links. Bootstrap does not require classes for simple what? Links. But you can use the following. You can use the following. For example, now, write Bootstrap link color. Bootstrap what? Link color classes. Bootstrap link color classes. So I will just come here and say class. I will say primary, something that we have done before, right? Primary, we can say primary. But before that, we have to add link. So the link is a responsive what class. Primary is what is defining the color. So if I go back to the front end and check now, you see the color it's given. Now that's what primary. So if I want to generate another color, just for us to understand the various link property, sorry, classes. So the link is constant, is what is the responsive class. So this is the only section we change it. So I'll change it to what? Secondary. Secondary. So that secondary will give us which color. Check. You can say something like what? Brown, right? Now let's take another one. Just want to duplicate them so that we can note the differences. The next one is sources. Sources. So here we change to what? Sources. Sources will give us color. Sources. Sources is something like what? Light green, right? Light green. Light green. Let me paste again. Let me paste again. Next one is what? Danger, right? Danger. Danger. Danger is going to give us what? Red, right? Red. Now we have info. We have info. Info is going to give us info like this. Info. That is something like what? Let's go. So we have lights. We have lights. Have lights. Have lights. If I check, light is what? This one is white. That's why it did not show. It's white there. So we have dark. Let me change it to dark. So what is dark going to be? Something like equivalent to black. That is black, right? So like I said, Bootstrap does not have what does not have classes, but you can use this ones to enhance or to consume. We have warning. We have warning. We have warning. We have warning. Warning. We have warning. Warning is going to be warning is going to be now. Well, you know that the link usually comes with a kind of decoration, which is underlined, right? Which normally stop with what? Text decoration, none. How do we achieve that in Bootstrap? So you write, write underline control, link Bootstrap anchor tag underline control. How do you turn off this particular default underline that keep coming out? Link. Link what? Sorry, Bootstrap link or anchor tag what? Underline control. So the only thing you need to add another class. So you can test and be test and test decoration. I none that you can stop it. Bootstrap. I added it to the last one. Let's check now whether it has. Can see that what underline and the last one. Can we follow you? So if you want to add the underline back, well, what will it change? Without change here to what? Underline. Once you add this underline, this bring it back. Let's put it and bring it back. So I believe all right, so let's quickly look at the next one. The next one is right, button link. Button link. Button what? Link. You write, Bootstrap has classes to make link look like button. Bootstrap has classes to make link look like buttons. So for example, let me create another link. For now, there's no destination. So let me just say button link, button link. So what will be the class name? The only thing that we are bringing in here, we are adding what? We are adding BTN, BTN. You see the other ones now, we just needed to show their color. But once we add this BTN as the primary Bootstrap class, they will not say BTN, BTN hyphen. We call those colors again, primary, secondary. So that will automatically make it look like a button. Do you understand it? So let me go back now. Look at it. Can you see it now? Button that has over automatically. Just imagine the stress it will have taken you to make this link look like this. Sharp, sharp. So if I want it to give me danger, red color, what will I do? I will just change here to what? Danger. Danger. Sharp, sharp. So it's just for it to be, you know, substitute what? The color. This same color that we have mentioned, all of them. But the only thing you are adding is what? You are adding this base what? Class name. And then you are now referencing it with those colors. Exactly. So let's try it for all. So I can see do for info. So this is going to give me something like this. May give us a, should I continue? Please confirm them. Now let's look at what Bootstrap what link alignment and display classes. Bootstrap link alignment and display classes. Bootstrap link alignment and what? Display classes and display classes. Now look up here. What we are saying is this particular link, why is showing here now? Because of they are all in the same line, right? So if I should go there and wipe off this, I think it's from here, right? Is it from here? Yes. Let me clear all these ones. Let me clear all these ones. So let's see it. So you can see where is the link currently positioned? The left-hand side, right? So if I want to align it horizontally now, that is the class name. It's different from the way you align container. You cannot use that one that we use, float. Those ones are for container like div, anything container. You can use those class to what? But if it is a test like this, we always use a align, test align, right? Different from align content. So what are the classes for this? Right. Links, note first, link can also use utility classes. Link can also use utility classes. Okay, which means, sorry for that explanation. So we can use the same alignment classes. Link can use what? Utility what? Classes, such as what? So I will just come here and say what? Float what? To center it, I will say what? Remember that anything that have to do with center, you have to add what? That D block. If it is an inline element, is anchor tag an inline element or block element? So right, for center alignment, the class name will be, you start with what? The D block. You put the D block first, just to convert it to what? And then before you will now say test. We are not saying test alignment. Instead, test hyphen what? Center. This is how Bootstrap sees it. So if I go back now, where is the test now? Look at what happened. It stretches it and make sure that the test is what? At the center. But if I want to use those utility, what will I do? Because this one will stretch it. I want to use those same utility. What will I do? In the place of this, I will change it to what? Float what? Float what? Hyphen what? End, right? So let's check. You see the way this one move it is different from the way that test one moved it. The other one stretch it, and that one focuses on the right top. And meanwhile, the link itself is in a container, because we are told that all HTML elements are box what? Model, which means that they are wrapped in what? In box. So you should know when to use this. So can anybody tell us when to use this and when to use the other one like before? Test center. This one is when you want to move the entire container, right? So to the center without stretching it. But if I say test hyphen center, if I say test hyphen center, look up. What happened? It's different. So the emphasis of this one is what? The right up. I don't know if you are getting it. So you are writing both of them. This is one that can be used to centralize it, but this one will stretch the whole container. But if I want the current width, everything and the text to move, then I will use those utility class. What are the utility class? Float start, float what? Float end, and what? MS what? MS what? Auto, right? Good. So you can use them. And we try all of them, please. Try them. You need to be trying them so that they will stick to your memory. So I prefer using this one, which is I prefer which one did I use now? That is I already added the D block. That is a float hyphen. So if I do float hyphen start, who can tell us what alignment would that one be? Let's try it. Perfect. Okay, so if I want to put it on the middle, I will say what? MS auto, right? Auto what? To the center. So you can see this one, anything center is stretching it. Are you following? It's stretching it. You said? So if I want to move it to the end, I will use the float again. Float hyphen what? End. Float hyphen end. So if I click, perfect. So these are the alignment and the position.